What's up? I'm Ricky Carmichael, and this bike right over here is the TF450 RC Edition Triumph motorcycle. We love it. It is a rollout. Hope you guys like it. Yeah, so the 450, I feel like from an engine standpoint, it's very broad power. It has good low RPM torque, which is really nice, I think. And it's most importantly, it's a rideable power. I think that's the key to 450s, in my opinion, is they make so much horsepower. It's getting it rideable and getting it in the right area. So I feel like they've done a really great job from the engine package. And as a chassis standpoint, anything that it did great on the 250, the 450 just complements that. It has a wide range of adjustability, and I just think it's a well-balanced bike. When I ride that bike, I don't go back in time to, especially from the chassis standpoint, I don't go back and think of, man, this feels like this. On the engine, on the other hand, on the engine, it does feels similar to kind of like my CRF 450 did back in the day in 2004, which was an incredible motorcycle. So I'm happy about that. If you're someone getting into the marketplace, or you're someone that has been on another brand that has been in MX racing forever, why a Triumph? Well, I think if you look at the attention to detail to the motorcycle and the hand welding of it all, I mean, for the price that it's sold at and the quality and the craftsmanship that you're getting, it's very, very incredible, and it's they've done a phenomenal job. So that's why I say that. Of course, it's an iconic brand, as we know, but yeah, just the components that it has on it as well. It's a tough package to beat. As far as the chassis goes, yeah, it's been pretty, as of recent, a lot of the manufacturers are running the same frame for the 250 and the 450. It just makes sense, and with engineering and design, you're able to get it to work for both displacements. So we're on the same program as that, same chassis. So just change some suspension settings, a couple other little small components on the motorcycle to help it perform the way that it needs to perform for the 450 versus the 250 for displacement. So we have the start lockdown device. We have the gripper seat. The Dunlop tires. I've been a partner with Dunlop for a very, very long time. The Hinson clutch cover. Just some minor details, and then some mapping that is a little bit different, tailored to what I like. That's why it's the RC edition. But the great thing is you'll be able to adjust that on your mobile app. So whoever might not prefer the mapping that I like, they'll be able to adjust it, which is really nice. Technology is unbelievable. So, and then engine hangers. I have a little bit different engine hangers than what the regular production bike will have as well, and it's just for a feel that it gives the bike that I like as well. And again, I think this is a great bike that caters to the whole platform of racers, whether you're entry level or the elite level. I think that it really caters to all levels of riding. And this bike, I believe, in Triumph in general, even the TF450, it has a wide range of adjustability, right? It's not a narrow target area. And myself and Ivan Tedesco worked really hard, and Ivan Cervantes, at the baseline when this project started, we talked about in 2020 started, we wanted to make the best balanced bike as possible. So it has a wide range of adjustability. So you can adjust the fork height, you know, the sag if you want, and it really complements what the bike does well. So there were some decisions that weren't always up to me. A lot of them weren't. So I was a huge proponent of having an aluminum chassis. I believe in the aluminum chassis. I think it has far more reach and far more potential than what the steel chassis does. You know, what design are we going to use? Are we going to go, you know, perimeter? Are we going to use spine frame? Obviously, we've used spine frame. We went aluminum. But at the end of the day, this thing is a business, as we know, and we have to do what's right for the brand. Luckily, I won that battle with the aluminum. So, yeah, it was like stuff like that, those type of decisions. Or when we come up with the design and once we put it in real life and it's manufactured and you go try it, what sometimes looks right on paper or what looks right in our head and what we're talking about may not always translate onto the track. So going and riding that motorcycle and hoping that it was good, because I always knew if it needed to make a change, that's going to put us a couple months behind where we should have been, because things just take time, right? So that I would say that was probably the biggest challenge. But the great thing about starting from scratch is we weren't trying to, you know, like Band-Aid something that probably wasn't good if we had inherited someone else's design. So that was the beauty of being able to start from scratch. Took a little longer than we would have liked to, but I think that happens in everything. I think it happens in everything. So that was the biggest challenge is time stuff and not hitting targets. But I will tell you guys this. I've been on the opposite side of having to meet target times and release dates and to where the product was compromised just to meet the target dates, and the product rollout and the end result wasn't to the level that it needed to be, and the sales weren't what they needed to be. And I knew that it was better to I felt like it was better to miss the target times and make sure that we have this thing right before we roll out. And I've been on both sides. So I think we made the right decision. One thing I'd like to, I was in some meetings this week. One thing I want to explain to you guys, and we're always beating ourselves up because we want to win at the highest level and we want to always be the best. But sometimes I think it's really important as an athlete, as a brand, as a company, whatever industry that you're in, it's cool to take a step back. Once in a while you have to take a step back and realize what you've created and look at the fruits of your labor. And do we want to be better? Of course we want to be better. But there's brands in this paddock that have been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years. And they don't always get it right either. We can go down the list. We can listen to rider interviews. We can talk about riders who sign for big money to ride for these manufacturers, and all they do is complain about why the bike isn't good, right? So this is what I try to tell our internal team. It's like, listen, don't beat yourself up. This bike it works really, really well. Even other brands have their struggles. We're always going to struggle because we're always reaching to be the best. So I think, again, you take everything into consideration, we did really, really well. When myself and a great friend of mine, and we were teammates at Suzuki, and I have an incredible amount of trust in this gentleman. He was our test pilot at RCH when myself and Kerry Hart had the RCH Suzuki factory racing team. Also, he was a test pilot for many, many years for the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team, Ivan Tedesco. He played an intricate role in the development of this bike, still does to this day. I have an incredible amount of trust in him, to where if there's a time where I can't go do some baseline testing, I trust my life with the guy. So if things isn't right, we want to compete at a high level, and we push our engineers to get the very best out of the machine. And he owes a lot of credit to this design as well. But in mind, we try to develop a bike that would work well for the elite level and just the general consumer that, you know, just goes and rides on the weekend. And I think we've done this with this bike.
When we kicked the projects off, we were running them simultaneously. The 450 obviously lagged the 250 slightly, so I've had an involvement the whole way through. We always focused on the 250 program because we always knew that we were going to race the 250 first, and so the 250 led the production and the 450 was kind of staggered behind it. So we always knew that they would come one after the other, but there was just a slight lag. That allows us to do a lot of the development on the 250, roll it into an engine development for the 450, and then tweak the chassis for the 450. Majority is the same. Obviously the rear wheel width is different to take the bigger tyre. As Ricky said, he's got a specific engine bracket on there to get the flex and the tune that he likes. The suspension tune, subtly different. But apart from that, the majority of it, the rest of it is the same. A lot of manufacturers are moving to be one chassis now between them all. Ultimately, could you make a better bike if you tuned it for one or the other? Yes, potentially, but you're then into increasing costs. You have to try and pass them on. You know, no one wants to pay more for their bikes at the end of the day, so it's always got to be a balance between what you're trying to get out. But we feel the package that we're releasing is not a compromised package by any stretch. The ability to be able to change the engine brackets and play with the stiffness and the handling, and you know, we can tune the suspension to get it to the place we want it to. Doesn't mean you need to run different chassis between the bikes. We tested lots of manufacturers, but the reputation that KYB has in the market, you know, it's a really good fork at the end of the day. We knew we wanted to go with a coil sprung fork and not an air sprung fork, so we've a long history of working with KYB. It seemed like an obvious choice when we started the project. It's difficult to pick an individual bike as a target because I think all of the bikes do something well. What you need to try and find is where you want to. So, you know, you review the bikes, you look at what they do well. Where do we want to place? What do we want to target? So it's not one individual bike as a target. We just wanted to make sure that it landed in the marketplace and was the right bike for the majority of riders. You know, whether they're the elite riders like Ricky or Ivan Clemon, or Ivan Tedesco, or whether it be a club level rider, your Sunday warrior who just wants to go out for a blast. We know the marketplace is going to take some time for us to break into. As Ricky said, we're going against people who have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. People will naturally be hesitant on year one, but hopefully, I would say, the results that the team have been able to deliver in the races, both in Europe and in the US, and as the press reports have come out, and hopefully the group tests are going to come out as well, we're confident in our product. You know, we just need to get people to convert onto it. I think it's a bike that ultimately it's different in the marketplace. You know, we've got a unique chassis that people can that allows people to exploit the best from the bike. Super tunable, really wide window of adjustability. We know it's got market-leading suspension, and the level of componentry, I would say, is really good for the package that you're getting. It's an all-round package. Plus, the bikes sound awesome, and the engine power and delivery is super nice as well. So I think as an overall package for someone, it's a great product. Plan is 2026 at the moment, so we're slightly behind where we were, but that's only because we made the decision to properly bed our 250 program in. It's more important that we make sure we're doing the 250s right before stepping to that Premier class.
And will that be run by the same teams in the?
That's the plan currently. Yeah.
Brilliant. And any need on a British assault next year?
We'd love to have a team in the British Championship. Hopefully we'll do something. Whether it'll be next year, we're not quite sure, but there's to have a British bike, British rider, British Championship, it'd be fantastic. So national level teams will typically be run by the subsidiaries. We have a hand in who's going where or whether it's the right team or not. We've got to make sure it's the right team. But yeah, typically it'd be run by the subsidiaries.